Happening now, the latest on an early morning factory fire, which was likely started by homeless or vagrants seeking shelter from the elements. And New York State's new controversial gun laws, they're now slated to take effect following a ruling in the matter. Plus, the story behind 13 lucky black cats in search of a good home.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, concerns surrounding the rising homeless population here in Jamestown continue, with investigators suspecting an early morning factory fire was started by homeless or vagrants seeking shelter from the elements. At around 7 in the morning Thursday, the Jamestown Fire Department responded to the old Crawford Furniture Atlas Division factory at 52 Windsor Street. The former warehouse was closed and partially demolished back in 2015 following a roof collapse. When crews arrived on scene, they discovered a small section of the first floor of the building completely engulfed in flames, possibly started by a campfire or bonfire.
Just a pretty dangerous building, so we were very careful to make entry, and it was a smaller fire, and about a 10 by 10 foot section. The flooring was on fire.
It took crews about 2 hours to contain the flames. While the fire is still under investigation, preliminarily it looks like that blaze started an unauthorized occupant in the building. In the past few months, we've seen an increase in homeless gatherings under bridges in places like the Railroad Viaduct on Main Street downtown. While police ask them to disperse, officials say the solution is not as simple as moving people out. Currently, the city is working with the county's homeless coalition to help support the homeless population here locally. There are also plans in the works to build 2 new shelters downtown, which could provide temporary housing for those in need. A 34-year-old Jamestown man is accused of burglarizing a residence in northern Chautauqua County. The sheriff's office announced the arrest of Bradley Lawrence on Wednesday. Lawrence is accused of getting into an altercation at a Swamp Road address earlier in the week in the town of Dunkirk. Following an investigation, deputies alleged that Lawrence entered a residence and took property from another individual living there. He was later arrested and charged with burglary, robbery, grand larceny, and assault. Well, Alzheimer's and dementia caregivers in Chautauqua County, they're rallying together, speaking directly with local healthcare professionals about this debilitating disease that not only impacts patients, but their family too. Bronson Rasmussen joining us live now from the newsroom with more on this important conversation. Bronson?
Justin, the Western New York Office of the Aging, alongside the Alzheimer's Association, held 2 forums for caregivers in the city of Dunkirk and Jamestown this week, where they discussed a variety of topics when it comes to taking care of somebody with memory problems.
Dementia is something that does not discriminate. Anyone, I challenge you to look for one person who hasn't been touched in some way by a loved one or a friend or a family member, a neighbor, who is experiencing dementia, whether it's the stress of caregiving, whether it's an actual diagnosis. And it's something we don't talk about enough as a community. It's a situation and a circumstance that's often seen as taboo. No one wants to admit that they're sick, and especially not sick with dementia, but it's something that is not going away. There is no cure.
Being a caregiver is stressful and full of challenges, especially when taking care of those with memory problems.
This is really to support caregivers, to give them the information they need to care for their loved one. No one wants to end their life in a nursing home.
The past few years have been very difficult for caregivers, so those with the Alzheimer's Association has a challenge for those at home.
If you know someone who is a caregiver, to truly ask them, what can I do in the next week that will be literally helpful to you and your situation?
To help, new technology is coming out every year. During the pandemic, animatronic animals have been assisting those feeling lonely.
He plays music and just interacts with you, and the more you move around, the more he interacts with you. And you know, you would think that animatronic pets would not have the same effect as a real pet, but they really do. Studies are showing that these guys are really effective, and I was just showing him to somebody in the forum, and he got this huge smile on his face.
There are several support groups that caregivers can take part in. With more information on the services in our region from the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org. Bronson Rasmussen, live in the newsroom, WNY News Now.
Bronson, thank you. Well, two new congressional representative here in Western New York. He's slated to host a series of town hall meetings with constituents in the coming months. Congressman Joe Sempolinsky announced the news yesterday. The Republican won a special election to fill Tom Reed's seat after Reed left office months ago for a job in the private sector. However, Sempolinsky will only be in this office until a new Congress is elected and sworn in next year for the 23rd congressional seat.
And our goal is to try and do one town hall meeting in every county in the 23rd district. So that's 11 town hall meetings, and do that before we go back into session for the lame duck session after the election. These town hall meetings are going to give me an opportunity, obviously, to hear, my friends and neighbors and constituents' thoughts and concerns, so I can take good ideas and concerns from the 23rd district back down to Washington.
Now here locally, Sempolinsky is scheduled to meet with residents at the town of Carroll Town Hall on Saturday, November 5th. That's from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. That's at 5 West Main Street there in Frewsburg. Dates and venues for Cattaraugus and Allegheny counties are expected to be announced soon. Well, the candidates for New York State's 150th Assembly seat, they will debate at the Regilene Center for the Arts tonight in Jamestown. It's co-hosted by WRFA, WJTN, and WNY News Now. Andy Goodell and Sandra Lewis will spend 60 minutes answering questions ahead of this fall's election. Goodell is the Republican who has served our district since 2010. Lewis, the Democratic challenger. She's a professor at SUNY Fredonia. Moderated by WRFA's Julia Cecila Hanley, the debate will take place at the Reg's Media Room and will be broadcast live at 107.9 WRFA, channel 716 on Roku, and at WNY News Now streaming network. You can get that at WNYNewsNow.com/live, and of course our social media pages. Now, starting at 6 o'clock tonight, Cecila Hanley and myself will take turns asking questions to the candidates. It'll also have an opportunity for them to ask a question to their respective opponent. So certainly we hope you can tune in. Well, now let's switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter standing by live with that, and it's a pretty soaking morning out there, Dakota.
Yes, it is. Today has been a day of soaking rain, but I wanted to show you the Salamanca camera. Not only do we have some of the rain still falling here, but also some of the fall foliage. We'll talk more about this a little bit later on because the colors really now starting to pop now across the region. So here's the satellite and radar composite. This is the rain that's been moving on through. We're now starting to get into a little bit of a break across the western southern tier. So the widespread rain is going to turn more scattered for the afternoon hours. Rainfall totals, we have picked up a bunch of rain just from last night and this morning. Over 1.5 inches in Kennedy. Jamestown's total close to an inch. So again, these are just some of the rainfall totals that we had. And of course, if you have a rain gauge, send us your total. We always need more weather reports. 63 was the high yesterday, started the day at 56. 82 and 20 are the records. So through the afternoon, occasional rain, soaking at times. It tapers off and becomes scattered, breezy. This is where we're ending the day. Temperatures fall 43 to 50 with a west wind 10 to 20 with wind gusts around 35. But that cool air gets reinforced next week. We'll talk about maybe some snowflakes next week. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, Justin.
All right, Dakota, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's need to know nevertheless. Thank you. As we continue, New York's gun laws, they've been a hot topic here lately. What a new concealed carry law means for gun owners now that it's just been okayed once again by a federal judge. And later, the snow, it's coming quickly. We have a look at what you need to do to be prepared when we come back.
When severe weather breaks, one team has you covered, tracking the storms as they happen. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Light
vests.
Please, give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please,
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
Walking from Jamestown to Orchard Park is a long trek, but when rallying for a good cause, anything is possible. I'm Patrick Smeraldo, and I need your help to get there. Starting on November 11th, I'm walking over 60 miles to the Buffalo Bills Stadium, raising money for two great causes: Harrison's Playmakers and foster care in Chautauqua County. Harrison's Playmakers is a non-profit launched by former Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Harrison Phillips to connect kids with disabilities in sports. Furthermore, donations for this 3-day hike will also benefit CASA of Chautauqua County and the Stone family, who are assisting local foster care children during National Adoption Month. Learn more about my journey and to donate at ccsolutions716.com.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
A federal appeals court agreed Wednesday to send the state's request to block a temporary restraining order that keeps it from enforcing its Concealed Carry Improvement Act to a 3-judge panel. This measure prohibits carrying guns in some public places. While that process happens, the law remains in effect. It was enacted after the Supreme Court struck down a New York gun law that placed restrictions on concealed carry outside the home. With the 3-judge panel will weigh in on the issue and has paused the restraining order from going into effect until their review is done. Well, outside the Capitol yesterday here in New York, advocates gathered to protest against a policy change at the Medicaid pharmacy program that prevents Medicaid patients from obtaining their medication through their physician dispensary. Our Albany correspondent spoke to advocates at the rally about why this issue is important to them and what changes they want to happen.
Save our access, save our lives.
On September 1st of this year, the New York State Department of Health made a policy change to their Medicaid pharmacy program. Instead of obtaining oral medications through a physician dispensary, patients now have to do a mail order. The New York State Department of Health stated on their information page that this change will simplify the process for Medicaid consumers to get the supplies they need. But advocates and some state lawmakers say it's actually the opposite.
We can't find efficiencies on the back of patients.
Nancy Egerton, pharmacy director for New York Oncology Hematology, said patients undergoing cancer treatments through oral medications need a physician to walk them through the handling process because many of them are considered toxic and even hazardous drugs. When a clinical physician provides Medicaid patients with their prescriptions, Egerton said they walk them through steps like wearing gloves to take the medication and keeping it away from pets and children. Egerton added that this education piece is important for patients in their treatment process.
It's critical. I mean, if it's not done correctly, really bad things can happen.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
The New York State Department of Taxation and Finance announced it started mailing additional financial relief to eligible New Yorkers. The state said today they're issuing $475 million in additional New York child and earned income tax payments for 1.8 million people. Eligible New Yorkers must have filed their 2021 New York State residential income tax return by April 18th of this year or had a valid extension time. Most of the checks should arrive by the end of October. Checks are automatically being mailed to those who receive the Empire State Child Tax Credit or Earned Income Credit, or both, on their 2021 tax return. No action required by the taxpayer. Well, this week, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled to vacate a lower court ruling in Pennsylvania that allowed the counting of undated mail ballots. According to Pennsylvania's election law, the outer envelope of a mail ballot must have a handwritten date in order to be counted. Well, a lower federal court and state court ruling in recent years have decided that a missing date is allowed and that the ballot should not be thrown out. The Wolf administration and Democratic lawmakers say tossing the undated ballots hinders voting access. The The 1964 Civil Rights Act states that minor ballot errors do not deny a vote, but Republicans say Pennsylvania election code clearly requires handwritten dates on the ballot.
Regardless of any litigation, the election code itself is clear in terms of ballots needing to be dated. That's a plain language statement. The intent of the General Assembly in that legislation is very clear that ballots need to be dated.
Now, the acting Secretary of State in PA says the court's decision does not change the administration's stance on ensuring counties count undated ballots. The department has issued guidance to counties and advised them to count the undated ballots. Whether that stays true before November 8th could be determined by litigation in the coming weeks. Well, before snowflakes fall this season, now is a good time to make sure you have all you need to get ready. Erie News Now's Elsbeth Meisner has more on what folks are doing to get their snow blowers and plows serviced.
Winter is set to make its return soon, which means it's time to dig the snow blowers out of storage and get them serviced.
That the oil is changed once a year. You're going to want to make sure that all the shear pins are, not broken and good to go. The shoes are not worn out underneath. And you want to make sure that if there was any fuel left over in the tank, that it was stabilized at the end of the year season, so that way the fuel doesn't go bad and then cause problems with the carburetor.
Wagner's mower and plow service on West Ridge Road has been busy, keeping up with the demand for shovels this 2022 season.
Again, our shipments are very, very small this year, but we do have some in stock.
And before those few flurries start to fall, Wagner's is busy servicing all their equipment, everything from snow blowers to making sure the plows are ready to go in front of the trucks. Private and commercial snowplow companies have been keeping them on their toes.
Plenty of people coming in to get their plows put on. Every year we do a service on their plow, before they put it back on, and make sure that they're all set.
And besides selling new snow blowers, they're also keeping up with their customers, bringing in their snow blowers to get them serviced just in time for the first snowfall.
Our service department is so busy, it's unbelievable, and it's actually a good thing because most people want to be prepared for the winter, and instead of waiting until the last minute, which ends up being a real problem, we have everybody bringing their stuff in now to get serviced and winterized and ready to go.
Elsbeth Meisner, Erie News Now.
Coming up, inflation, it's still on the rise. What this means for the economy, but more importantly, your wallet. And later, usually the word luck. It's not associated with black cats. However, the Chautauqua County Humane Society, they're trying to change that. Our Alyssa Wright has the story of 13 lucky black cats now up for adoption. But first, Dakota joins us with more on today's rain showers, which could soon change to snow. Stay right there. WNY News Now is back after this.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Looking for a fair and honest auto mechanic? Look no further than Dwyas Auto Service. Located at 140 Main Street in Randolph, our family-owned business is ready for all of your automotive needs. From general service to more complex repairs, count on Dwyas Auto to keep you on the road. We not only keep your cars running smoothly, but also looking great with our expert detailing crew. Send us a message on Facebook or call us today at 716-358-2292 to set up an appointment. Dwyas Auto Service. Fair, honest, and the best prices guaranteed.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Fast, accurate, and every day. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back, everybody. As promised, here is a look at the fall foliage. And man, I mean, much of the state now is starting to see some amazing colors, but across the southern tier and western New York, we are now in this near peak to almost at peak status. So the colors are really starting to pop now across the region. So now is a good time to get out and actually peek at the fall foliage. Maybe not today, though, but it will be a nice couple of days coming up. So the trash can window meter, haven't showed it in quite a long time, and brought it back because, yeah, it's going to be breezy today. So if you do have your trash can, if you haven't picked it up from last night or you set it out early, you might find it tipped over. So just watch for that. And anybody who's a fan of Tom Petty, I'm free falling. The high was 60. That was around midnight, and we've pretty much fallen downhill. 50 at 10 a.m. And the current observation at the airport as of noon hour is 48 with a southwest wind of 3. The wind has come down, so we do see a little bit of a light change in the wind as of right now, but that wind is going to pick up a little bit later on. Friday Night Lights game of the week is, of course, Jamestown. They are on the road to Lewiston to take on Niagara Field up in Lewiston, and that's tomorrow. 51 degrees at kickoff, down to 44, partly to mainly clear. So again, no weather hassles there for the Raiders game up in Lewiston tomorrow. So let's show you First Defense Doppler radar. This is pretty much what's left of that rain showers, turning more scattered now across Cattaraugus County. The more heavier amounts of rain is out towards Allegheny County and Steuben County. That's where some heavier rain is, and this is all sparked out ahead of that cold front, which is right here. So all that's ahead of the cold front, cooler air surging on behind it. So let's show you future scan. Again, the modeling picks up on the heavier rain moving east. Then we're going to see a few maybe scattered showers through the afternoon hours, but again, turning more scattered. It should be partly to mainly dry. Notice the rain showers, that's going to stay up towards Canada. Tomorrow should be a nice day, partly to mostly sunny. I think more sunshine than clouds. And then by the time we go into Saturday, we are going to see our next chance of rain, but it's only going to be a small chance. You can see here by Saturday morning. But the bigger story really is going to be the colder air filtering in next week. We are looking at below average temperatures likely across much of the Northeast next week, and that could equate to the first snowflakes of the season. And you'll see it in the next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So after we get through the 60s, the cold air surges in a wintry mix Tuesday and Wednesday, Justin.
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Well, some headlines from around the nation. A jury in Connecticut, they've awarded nearly $1 billion to Sandy Hook families and a first responder. 15 plaintiffs will get $965 million from conspiracy theorist and talk show host Alex Jones and his company. They sued for defamation over his false claims that the 2012 school shooting was a hoax. Well, the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol attack will hold a hearing today. Committee members say they hope to show the U.S. is experiencing a clear and present danger to democracy. They'll present new evidence that they say links former President Donald Trump to efforts to overturn the election. The committee ranking members say they have plans to show his ties between extremist groups and various allies. The hearing is set to take place this afternoon. Well, more grim news for the economy. A key measure of inflation is rising faster than expected. Isabel Rosales with more on what this means for your wallet.
The Labor Department reporting a larger than expected increase Wednesday in the Producer Price Index. The report gauges prices paid for goods and services before they reach you, the consumer. Energy was up a little under 1% in September. Food prices jumped 1.2%. And services are up about 0.5%. While these increases represent the wholesale prices, they are likely to be passed on to the consumers in the form of higher grocery prices.
Historical experience suggests that the kind of inflation we have rarely returns to normal levels, to target levels of around 2% without some kind of recession.
The fight to bring down decades-high inflation has become a major concern for the Federal Reserve. The central bank has been hiking interest rates at an unprecedented pace in an effort to cool down the economy. But there are concerns that it's happening too fast and could soon lead to a recession.
No. Look, they've been saying this now every 6 months they say this.
President Joe Biden remains confident in the economy.
I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession.
I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
Coming up next, Usually the word luck, it's not associated with black cats, but the County Humane Society, they're trying to change that. Alyssa with the story of 13 lucky black cats now up for adoption.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Walking from Jamestown to Orchard Park is a long trek, but when rallying for a good cause, anything is possible. Starting on November 11th, I'm walking over 60 miles to the Buffalo Bills Stadium, raising money for two great causes: Harrison's Playmakers and foster care in Chautauqua County. Learn more about my journey and to donate at ccsolutions716.com.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. And we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Welcome back. Throughout history, there's been a stigma surrounding black cats, whether it's the superstition of bad luck when crossing their path, or maybe just being overlooked. And the Chautauqua County Humane Society, they're trying to clear the air a little bit. Alyssa Wright joins me at the desk with more to explain. Hello, Alyssa.
Hi, Justin. An anonymous donor that the Humane Society is calling the mysterious donor, to keep it a little spooky, Brian said, they've provided funding that waives the adoption fee of 13 black cats through the month of October, and these kitties are waiting eagerly to be brought home. Despite the event going on for a little over a week now, there have not been many people interested in adoption.
We just really would like to see some get home, because even promoting this in this first, almost half of the month, we still haven't got a ton of response to it. And, we're adopting animals at a pretty good clip. But you can see, we still have quite a few black cats, because a lot of people, the theory is sometimes that they kind of blend in. They don't stand right out to you like the other cats do.
Senior Programs Director Brian Papalea doesn't believe in the tales surrounding these black cats.
I don't think that they bring any more luck or bad luck than any other animal. I think a lot of that happens to come from me, whether my luck is good or bad. But they're loving cats, come in, and we've had a lot of volunteers doing the orientations, and they end up in this room, and the cats come right over to them.
Cats are, according to Papalea, one of the easiest pets to have.
If you're looking at the pet world, and if you're looking at what animal might be, I'm going to say almost the easiest, I think cats are pretty good. You don't have to take the cats out for a walk in the morning. You can, if you choose, you can have their food available all the time. Some of them, you can even adopt cats that will let you know when they want attention.
In the end, the Humane Society just wants to see these cats find their forever homes.
We pretty much have a cat to fit any household. We've got, if you want somebody to hang out with, we got that. If you want somebody that's going to keep you on your toes all the time, we have that kind of cat as well.
To learn more about adopting one of these 13 lucky cats, you can visit chqhumane.org.
I love it, and I love the variety, I think, of cats that you have in your story. You have the short-haired black cat, the long-haired black cats, black cat for everybody.
And they all really had a different personality.
Yeah.
The long-haired one, he was a little skittish, didn't want to be picked up. There was one that jumped right in my lap. There's ones, like you saw in the video, that were very playful. So there really, like Brian said, there really is a cat for everyone.
And I don't know if this is true, so maybe I shouldn't say this, but my grandparents, who, Italian family here in Jamestown, they had a black cat called Blackie, and he recently passed away, but after, I think it was like 17 years with him. He was with him for a long time. And they believed that he was actually good luck through their Italian heritage. So it's like the complete opposite.
Different cultures. We are, from at least what I know, one of the only cultures that really believes that black cats are bad luck.
Yeah.
Most other cultures believe that they bring good luck. And Brian believes that he's in charge of his own luck, so as we heard.
And I guess it depends your perspective. My fiance, if she sees one cross her path while driving, she will turn the car around. I'm not kidding you. Yeah, oh yeah. So it's a big deal. Let us know what you guys think on social media at WNY News Now.
Alyssa, thank you.
That is it for us today. We'll leave you with this live look over Lakeside Park in Mayville. Have a great day.